us who have been following healthcare for a long time, both in the 80s and the 90s, and also this law, knew that that promise was not going to be able to be kept as the president made it. And in fact, in 2010, you might remember President Obama had that big healthcare summit across the street from the White House at Blair House. All the Republicans came, Democrats came. And here's an interesting exchange from 2010.
Between 8 million and 9 million people may very well lose the coverage that they have because of this, because of the construct of this bill. That's our concern.
The 8 to 9 million people that you refer to that might have to change their coverage, keep in mind out of the 300 million Americans that we're talking about, would be folks who the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, estimates would find the deal in the exchange better, would be a better deal.
That's what we're now talking about. Those 8 or 9 million Americans who, now the question is whether or not the deal is better. The question is not, the question is whether they can afford the deal with the subsidies that some of them are eligible for, and also whether they can get on the website to see the deal. But this is not a real secret. So when President Obama, came to the realization this week that, it wasn't true, he knew it wasn't true back then.
Gonna be my dad. You better throw away the spoons and all the other dirty things.
The president has been apologetic. He's been accountable for saying something that was not the case. You were Speaker of the House. You, in many ways, were seen as an architect and a key ally on this. And this is what you said back in June of 2009 on MSNBC. Watch.
What we are talking about is affordable, quality, accessible health care for all Americans. It's about choice. If you like what you have and you want to keep it, you have the choice to do that.
Are you accountable for saying something that turned out not to be correct?
Well, it's not that it's not correct. It's that if you want to keep it, and it's important for the insurance company to say to people, this is what your plan does. It doesn't prevent you from being discriminated against on the basis of pre-existing conditions. It doesn't lifetime limits, annual limits, and the rest of that.
There's a bottom line to this, which I think people understand and the president has acknowledged, which is if there are not, the government is deciding, there have to be minimum standards that are minimum requirements in any health care plan.
Yeah.
So if you have something and you like it and it doesn't meet what the government says you have to have, you cannot keep it. And that's not what you said
If
here.
you had your plan before the enactment of the law in 2010, if you had your plan before, there is nothing in the law that says you have to. But, again, we can go back and forth on this.
Right, but this is an important deal because the grandfathering has changed. And the bottom line is the president has acknowledged, it doesn't seem like you're acknowledging, that saying to people back in 2009, hey, this is going to be easy. If you like what you have, you can keep it. This is all about choice.
You could, if you had your plan until the enactment of the law in 2000. The grandfathering is for those before 2000. But let me say this, and I commend the president. He's gracious, and he's taking responsibility. But that doesn't mean that there was anything in the law that said if you like what you had before 2010, you couldn't keep it. I think it's really important to make that point. He took responsibility for the big picture, and that's important for him to do, because that's what people see. But there is nothing. But you said earlier, if the law says that you must be can't, the law doesn't say that. But again, neither here nor there. How do we go forward?
But the bottom line is people are getting policies that are canceled, and that was not the representation that was made. And it was also foreseeable. There was part of the debate that this would actually happen.
Well, now I would agree with you for the policy since 2010. But not for the 2000 before. But the president has also said that the insurance companies, and many of them have been very responsible and some not so, the insurance company has to say to you, you're not getting the exemption pre-existing conditions, you will have lifetime limits, you will have annual limits, and by the way, you have to tell people that they can go to the exchange, the marketplace, where they may qualify for a subsidy, or they may just get a better price.
When the law arrives this evening.
That point about keeping your health care plan, that's an important one. How many times did we hear this from the president?
If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
But that was never the whole story. It was simply not credible that the Obama administration and Congress would make a number of sweeping changes to health insurance and everyone would still get to keep their health care plan and their doctor. Back in 2010, the Obama administration vaguely acknowledged this by noting the high rate of turnover when it came to the 14 million individuals who have private insurance as opposed to group plans tucked in the Federal Register. The Obama administration noted the normal turnover rate for individual insurance is up to 67%. And that because of changes mandated to plans by Obamacare, turnover would likely exceed that range. We haven't even mentioned the employers who are pushing workers off their plans and onto the Obamacare exchange because it's cheaper. This doesn't sound like if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. And in fact, back in 2009, a young White House correspondent challenged the president on that issue, noting that some of the proposals being discussed might have resulted in folks being forced into new plans against their wishes.
What about keeping your promise to the American people that they won't have to change plans even if employers...
Well, no. I mean, when I say if you have your plan and you like it and your doctor has a plan, or you have a doctor and you like your doctor, that you don't have to change plans, what I'm saying is the government is not going to make you change plans under health reform.
Ah, that's the key. The government is not going to make you change plans through health reform, though the government might impose a situation that would cause a change of plans for you. So the promise was never quite as presented, and yet the president kept presenting it that way.